think it's real in life, man. All the rest of it, unreal. That's the deal. Here's to you and your sweetheart, too. Waking up this morning, are we? Getting, gently tugged on the shoulders a wee bit by your old grandpa here. I'll tell you what, sweet Mary Jane's on the other side of you there saying, come on, little boy, little girl, come out and play, man. It's time to awaken to the bright of day, the reality of truth in which we live, and give up all the other bullshit, don't you know? Here at Spring Creek, man, it's a place where you get in the flow on the Everclear Hazy Radio Network, dear. And here's to you once again, my dear. Baby, if we ain't rocking and rolling, well, we're getting there, so just be patient with us, okay? I mean, not anybody's perfect, and everybody is perfect in their imperfection, don't you know? Ooh-wee, baby, I guess we just said a mouthful, didn't we? Yeah. Well, do you feel the energy behind that? You kind of get that little leap in understanding, that little expansive feeling, man, where you go, wow, I just got it another way, didn't I, man? Wow, how about that, And here, let's take it up another level or so, in respect to our divine Mary J., who is the herbal essence of this here reality, man. The sacred herb that sets you free, babies, if you but let it. Got to get over some prejudices and shit, don't you? You never thought you was bigoted against a woman, but you've been against Mary J. for how long now? Oh, goodness. I tell you. Like my old lady told me back in the day, you don't know what you're missing, man. You got to get with the program, man. You can't feel it. You can't have it, man. It's just the way it works. Well, Mary Jane softens you up, gets you over that ingratitude attitude that says, oh, I must be critical of everything and everyone around me. Oh, I must draw borders and definitions. Oh, I must follow the flow of the economics, don't you know, etc., etc., etc. Some people even marry for the money. Can you imagine? Marriage being one of the biggest frauds ever perpetrated upon humankind. That's why they so want to glorify it all the time, because it's the biggest bunch of bullshit there could ever be. Wow, he's talking rather harshly, this old man. Now, there's a lot of us out here that are happily married. What are you talking about? And I got my twin flame, and we're a challenge job, but we're getting... It's the institution and the bullshit authority that goes with it. And the very idea we're going to couple you up and isolate you in your own tiny little box on your own tiny little hillside, or your mansion on a hillside, as the case may be. You're still going to be isolated. And it's going to be this little tiny family unit, this little submolecular structure in humanity that's got to make it in the 3D and follow all those formulas and those old tired recipes that stink to high heaven, see? That's why the younger generation won't have none of it, Big corporations try to employ a few geniuses. They just laugh, go take a crap down the hall and leave, Ain't doing that no more. Cruelty doesn't rule here, And in fact, it never has, despite our supreme cruelty to one another, which is, a form of self-destruction. See, just about time you rise up righteously. They did it in World War II. They did it in World War I, too. Just about time you rise up righteously against some evil subhuman enemy that has attacked your shores or something like that. That's when you get swept away by the propagandistic bullshit. And you're isolated and you're ready to kill because of it, That is not too intelligent. Even for patriotic duty. This country, any country, they're a farce, a fiction, and the government to go with them. The real power always has been and always will be in the people's heart, which includes those that run the show, not meaning to leave anybody out, but it's just not in that authoritarian way. That's what's dying away in this reality, is all that authoritarian stuff. That thing that makes the male presence dominant. Or thinks it is, it knows all along that it is not dominant. But there's always a neck turning that big fat head of theirs, I tell you, babies, these clever devils have done tricked themselves into the grand reunion with life. And they ain't going to be able to play it that way no more, and neither are you, because you got the flow, babies, in a rock and roll sort of way. Here at Spring Creek, it's your beginning moment. Every breath you take is. That is the moment. That is the place we exist. And therefore, our future is entirely flexible, and we don't have to be burdened by the past. What do I mean when I say let it go and get on with the flow? Well, it's letting go of the burden of the past. You know, I mean, the past lived the same as the present and the future does, you see. It's all one big simultaneous life. But you've held such judgment on yourself and others in that isolated sort of way, as if you were somehow better than that, you know. But in that attitude, you find yourself being worse than that and showing lots of ingratitude in your family. See, it's designed that way. It's designed to get you bickering with one another, depressed, living in a suffocating reality that you can hardly breathe in, can hardly get in your car and commute 2 hours in suffocating gases to get to a polluted workplace to produce more pollution. So you can drive on home 2 hours later and pay for it all. You know, you ever woke up in that loop and felt like a squirrel going round and round in the wheel? Because that's essentially what we're doing. I remember that, man, when I first really settled in and tried to do the home and the car thing, you know, and the regular job routine. Of course, it was trucking, but it was well-paying trucking, and it was as steady a job as you're going to find in that industry. It was real reliable. I didn't have to worry about it, and I got paid boom, 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 you know. But I found myself a squirrel. I'm driving to work one day. I got to go 75 miles. I'm going to be gone for 4 or 5 days in that truck. Then I'll be back, you know, and deliver the goods all the way along, front end, back in, and all the way through. You deliver, deliver, deliver. That's what you do when you're trucking that way. But, oh, my goodness, I tell you, what a play, man. I just realized what a squirrel cage it was and what a little wheel I was on. Just enough money to take care of the family in a righteous sort of way. Just enough money to make the car payments. Just enough money to make the house payments, etc. Well, it made me restless, and I couldn't stand it, you know. And so, in a way, I self-sabotaged myself. I stretched myself way too thin. I bought another house way up there in Monkey Truck, Egypt, man, you know, and I tried to divide myself between them, etc. And just like, well, of course, you know, and then at the same time, I got a little business going on the side that stretched me out like millions, man, you know, but didn't make me millions, you know, because I did, well, it's a long story, but let's just say it didn't work that way. But it was fun to play, and it was my sub-psychological response to the trap of the routine that I was in. I couldn't stand it. I was going down again, even though it was steady Eddie, and everything was just all right. You didn't have to overdo yourself much, etc. I mean, it was like a good gig. It was a comfortable start. If most normal human beings would have stayed in for the rest of their lives. And who could blame them? I mean, you know, why buck it, man? If you got something easy and you can truck it like that, well, do it, man, you know, make good money and go home. You know, well, that was the days. You can't make good money trucking anymore, let me tell you. Wages today are less than they were back then. I mean, in dollars and cents, not in inflated dollars and cents, but just in plain old dollars and cents, you know. You can't make the money today that you made back in the 80s, you know. And most of those gravy jobs have gone their way. But see, that's because it's a false reality. It's an illusion just like the marriage is. It's all a big frickin' lie. It's a trap. It's slavery. It's getting you to do some kind of production line thing, no matter how you try to be in it. You know, you can go for more creative stuff, be an artist, you know, be a writer, but that happens rarely for most people. There's no way to make a living at that kind of stuff unless you're extremely gifted or extremely blessed by the dark reality that only wants to see crap art, and, you know, that's what it produces. Sorry, I'm real opinionated today. You have it your way. I mean, you know, what's crap to me is probably beautiful to you and vice versa. But hey, it's all beautiful to me, even the crap part of it, don't you see? I like the crap. It makes the real stuff stand out so much brighter and so much better, you know. People that are too lazy to really put a weave and a pattern to their painting, man, you know, are kind of lost. But they get a lot of attention because of the superficial nature of our reality, you know. And rich folks, you know, people that buy all that kind of expensive garbage, Well, babies, it's the king's new clothes all over again. You know what I mean? They just keep getting sold a bill of goods, but what they see is beauty, and guess what? So beauty it be. They're willing to pay 10 mil for it. Even better, wouldn't you say? Got to keep our artists going somehow. You know, ain't many of them really make the big money. Most of them die, you know, unequivocated in this reality. And then all of a sudden everybody wants their work because they're gone, you know. And when they're here, oh, how boring, man. They can watch you paint down there on, you know, the courtyards in Santa Fe, man. And they, my friend Regina Medina can do better than that. How about you, man? You know, stuff like that. I mean, come on, people. See, that's the other thing we get. We get stuck in that routine, that hauling-ass routine, 9 to 5 for most people. I don't know how you stand it. I couldn't do it, you know. Bad enough to commute once a week, you know. That was bad enough, you know. Oh, well, we get on with the show. And, you know, those with a little gumption usually get them a business one way or another and take care of themselves. I finally, after a whole bunch of little backfires, I finally got one going, you know. And then somebody... I mean, it worked for about 2-3 years really well. I was taking real good care of myself and my family, too, and having a great time doing stuff I loved, you know. But, of course, there's always a nemesis in the background, you know, a little rattlesnake with an attitude, you know, little slitty eyes and a forked tongue. And, of course, it comes to you like a beautiful soul. So, oh, you can help me and I can help you. You know, scratch, 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 steal, 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 and then it's gone. But at least you had it for a while, you know, and it was beautiful, man, you know, to know that I really could in this world, in a place that, you know, I didn't have old family tattoos or nothing, you know, other than ancient ones, of course, but that's different. That's multi-level living, man, multi-dimensional, you know. But in this reality of 3D, you know, I really wasn't connected yet. I was connected to everyone I see, you know, and it was easy to be in business that way. I just went with the flow and had a great time, don't you know? And it was like, because only I could dig what I was doing, I had to do it myself again. I did have a little help in the background, thank goodness for that, people to answer phones and stuff for me. But basically, I was just trucking and having a great time. Well, I wasn't trucking in a truck. Now, don't get the mistake. I was doing a little biz, man, you know. Mostly with little small mom-and-pop shops of one sort or another and smaller distributorships that were trying to make a being in their industry, things like that, you know. I specialized in inspired products, you know, and I represented them when I found something I really loved, you know. And boy, some incredible opportunity opened up for me. Even when I let that one go, I could have gone and made, you know, more than $1 million a year if I'd have wanted to. I just couldn't sell myself that short. I was doing things that I found disagreeable. And one thing in my life I swore a long time ago, and I've kind of stuck to mostly, is that I would not subdue myself to a job that wasn't at least fun and friendly. You know, if it didn't have those two elements in it, I didn't want nothing to do with it. And, you know, and if one of my jobs that I mistakenly took turned out to be that way, well, it didn't take me long to find something else or just walk out the door one day and not worry about it. Because, you know, I was good enough. I figured I could get something going, and sooner or later I would. Let's see, it's all about self-reliance and learning that. But then you learn the corruption of the system and the weakness in people, too, right? Including yourself, right along with it. But what do you get out of that? A sense of satisfaction goes beyond belief. To be able to actually do that, even for an hour or two in your life, is pretty darn good in this world, because there ain't many that get to do it. Most of them inherit the wealth and then squander it, and who can blame them, you know? Man, if I was a Rockefeller right now, I'd be busy giving it all away, quietly, of course, and nobody would know, but there would be a flow in reverse from what it's been, man, you know. Got to make reparations with humanity now. Me, more or less, it's not really reparations, even though, you know, the rich people have been at war with us for a long time. You can't have war with yourself, man. That's cancer. What do we do with cancers? We cure them somehow. We might have to cut them out. We might have to, like, take a lot of Mary Jane. Well, I think that's humanity's choice, is to take a lot of Mary Jane and to become inspired to live in a singular presence of heart That's our reality. That's our truth. See, and then, Simon Legree, or whatever you want to call them, bad apples, of shadows in the background that sickly rule over us all or have done so. Well, they're just another human being. That's what I'm talking about when these captains of industry come down. The rock and roll comes around. And then humanity kicks in. Here are these people that have abused and killed probably billions and billions of us over the years through their family connections and so forth. People that have sought to enslave us and torment us forevermore. But see, they were out of control too. An infection came into humanity quite some time ago along with that Babylonian thing. And that's where all this came from. But that's where it went too. It finally disproved itself. The moment it steps out from skullduggery and intrigue and tries to control it on the surface, bring its ugly face outward, goes down every time, man. It cannot hold it without subterfuge. And if the people can't be lied to anymore, well, there is no subterfuge. There's no secrets. There's no secret space program, trillions of missing dollars, or anything like that. And the captains of industry come down out of those ivory towers and tall places or underground bases, wherever they happen to be hiding right now, naked and alone, probably hungry because they haven't had their foie gras for a while, man. And really thirsty. They haven't had a martini in days, man, Nobody to open the door for them. Nobody to wipe their butt for them. Nobody to, sprinkle talcum powder under their arms in the morning and stuff like that. They're just screw-blued and tattooed, man. They're living just like anybody else would, and they got to deal with the same situation. Only now, because we've gotten rid of the attitude that brought them down. Basically when they come down, the attitude's done. And that's what brings them down. People are no longer willing to sell themselves short and live in that suffocating place and run that squirrel wheel anymore, even though it's greatly rewarding to do so. No matter how we live, it's beautiful in some way, but some ways, of course, are much more pleasant than others, and the most pleasant of all, of course, is what we convey here on this little radio show called Spring Creek, don't you know? Only on the Hazy Radio Network. Well, it's kind of awakening. It's called seeing your creative capabilities come to life inside of yourself. Through the presence of, some inspirational musical tunage, classical rock for the most part, and inspirational tunage of your heart, arising to greet it, meet it, embrace it, don't chase it. And just love ourselves into being the creative harmony of life. The little songbirds that sing and bring it all into being, see? That's what the old Robin's trying to tell you early in the day. Sing your song, baby. Get along. You see? And what that means is go with the flow of the vibrations, don't you know? It is a vibrational harmony that we live in, and each one here has its own spectral place in that spectrum of sound and color and animation, babies. Ooh, ooh, ooh. We are the flow, don't you know? When you get this warm glow going on, well, all these little products inside that have been so manufactured, and tried to convince you that your human nature was basically evil, have dissolved into the reality of a loving heart shining just like the sun inside of you. And as its brightness increases, all the illusion and slave-like attitudes we've lived under go away. And humanity reaches out its heart to the most wicked of people and gives them that start, teaches them how to take care of themselves, how to be creative, how to be loved, how to stay in the flow. Mainly just by example, don't you know? But humanity will never, abandon its own heart. No matter how tough and ugly some have made it be here in these warlike times and so forth, we will never, ever give it up, because that's what we're made of. And the more we see that, the more we be that, the more we accept that, the more that becomes so. That is our reality. That's the unending abundance of love in this life, which creates all forms and fashions of it and allows it to be what it wants to be, but won't let it kill itself, okay? So we get in the way sometimes, meaning we have our parental energies about, and they're not necessarily extraterrestrials as you see them. The parental energy is what you say, an energy. And so it has its workers, yeah, the same as anything else does. And that includes angels and ETs, which are essentially the same kind of energy expressed differently, the same way humanity is. You see, everything around us reflects our truth back to us in some odd little coyote way. But as we awaken, we begin to see these plain as day and no longer deny their presence, see? And that's what you be here, man, as you're coming back to life, along with old Bob Seger and a whole bunch of other rock and roll stars reincarnated from the past, man, to give you a past blast here in the present. It brings forward the most divine of futures, because we're right here in this moment, man, bringing it on, baby. We don't even have to worry about the future. We are the future, living it just right, man. And then those old buffaloes and beasts with great big guns can get in the way. They're inert when you're in love with your life today, okay?